Welcome to the SUMMARRY streaming experience. I'm your host, as per usual, SUMMARRY. If it's the first time watching the stream, the VOD with the video on YouTube, I'm a monthly Hearthstone Wild Legend player who typically hits Legend first of the month, and after that I goof off. And when I goof off, I play your decks. But what I want to do right now is I want to do a quick little guide about a deck that I am calling Face Warlock. I've played it quite a bit on stream. I even played it up to rank 43 on EU, now granted. That was at 10x MMR. It was the first time that my account on EU had hit Legend, and it was the first time I was climbing against some people, so I definitely had like an inflated MMR with a crazy win rate going in to my boss battle, which is why I think I ended, camping top 100 on EU. So I don't think it's necessarily a rank 43 deck, but I do think it's a fun alternative to Discard Warlock, and it uses some of the powerful parts of Discard Warlock without getting distracted by trying to do like the Walking Dead, trying to do the Silverware Golems, trying to do any of the board-based stuff, and going purely for burn and damage from hand. To start with, the game plan here is we are trying to, as often as possible, make many soul barrages and discard them so that we blow up the opponent's face and we reduce their health total to 0. In order to do that, we've got enablers like Malchezaar's Imp to help draw some cards. We've got some funny one-drops like Leper Gnome, Kobold Librarian, and Sizzling Cinder to kind of start out our tempo, get some chip damage in. I have really enjoyed the Twilight Time Hopper as a new addition to this deck. It's a great play on 2. Tachyon Barrage is supposed to get some face damage in and get our Frenzied Felwings down. A little bit more about those in the future. And the only shadow spells in the entire deck are the Sketch Artists. So Sketch Artist is always getting Soul Barrage, which we are then discarding with Expired Merchant, which we are then blowing up with Hellfire, which we are then discarding with either Soulfire or Chamber of Visidius. Okay, so that's the general idea. My basic mulligan, I'm looking for a 1-drop typically to play. Sizzling Sizzler, Sizzling Cinder, Gnome, Librarian. These are great 1-drops. Malchezaar's Imp, I will tempo out sometimes. It depends on the matchup. Depends on how much I think I'm going to need the draw from the discard from Malchezaar's Imp. The thing is I really want to start being tempo forward, but this is better like combined with Expired Merchant to draw me a card, or combined with the Chamber to draw me 3 cards in total. So it's like, it's not the greatest 1-drop, but it's not the worst in the world. Considering that we're not really discarding any cards until Merchant is discarding Barrage, which is, unless we've Sketch Artist, not a guaranteed play. It's usually like a turn 4, turn 3 type play. So I'm not always getting Malchezaar's Imp down. So basic mull, I would say a 1-drop that is playable and aggressive. On a Sketch Artist all the time I'm looking for Sketch Artist. And Cursed Catacombs, because Cursed Catacombs can be either look for Sketch Artist when you have 3 available mana, or it can be look for Merchant when you have gotten Soul Barrage in your hand and you're looking to discard it. So that's the basic mulligan. Basically a 1-drop, Cursed Catacombs, and Sketch Artist. You do that, you're already going pretty well as far as how the deck hums. I would say on the play, a more advanced mulligan, on the play, I think keeping Time Hoppers is a good idea. Having a strong turn 2 play feels really good. In fact, keeping these on the coin can feel pretty strong, just so that you know that you have a turn 2 play. But I wouldn't go out of my way to feel like, oh boy, I have to have these. I really want my Sketch Artist first. I think like in order of importance, I probably put like Sketch Artist, Cursed Catacombs, and then one of the 1-drops. So this is definitely coming in fourth as far as things that I care about. I would absolutely keep Expired Merchant if I have Sketch Artist in my hand. And if I have Sketch Artist in my hand and I have Expired Merchant, do I then keep Malchezaar's Imp? I start thinking about it. I don't know if I always do. I've tried keeping Hellfire against suspected aggro decks. It's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you're on the coin and you have sort of an extra card to spare. Like if you know you're like possibly queuing into 30 Shagro. This isn't the worst thing in the world. Disco, it's a little bit harder to justify keeping this. If they get a big Tiny Knight and a Walking Dead down, the Hellfire really doesn't do anything. So I've had it be like the nuts and work out in the past, and I've had it be in like so-so and kind of mid. I think it's generally bait to keep this, but if I know it's going to be swarmy, really low to the ground aggro, I don't think keeping it is the worst thing in the world. Tachyon Barrage, I think I would only keep if I very specifically had 2 Frenzied Felwings in my hand. Especially if I'm on the coin and I can just sort of coin it out, rip it, and get the Felwings down right away. Otherwise, I'm probably not keeping those. So those are some of my more advanced sort of mulligans thought process. Common mistakes that I think you can make while playing this deck. I think one of the hard things to do is this isn't played like Disco where we're playing for board. We really are trying to use our mana as efficiently as possible to deal as much damage as possible in a short period of time. So selling out too much into a possible Reno deck when you know you're not going to get there in time and they're just going to Reno and you're cooked, I think that's like a common mistake. I think leaving an expired merchant out against a deck that is commonly running some form of transform or silence is a mistake. A lot of times if I feel like I'm in that situation, I won't play the expired merchant until I know I have Hellfire to pop it. Or unless I have the second expired merchant and the second Soul Barrage, and I think, it's not the worst thing in the world if it gets silenced right here. Typically, I'm trying to protect expired merchant as much as I can, and then blow it up when I can blow it up. That I would say would be like the biggest mistakes you can make playing this deck. Aside from like getting sucked into subpar mulligans. Some cute plays, again, Merchant Hellfire is a really cute way to, especially if you've already loaded a chamber in your hand, or if you've got a Soulfire in hand, Merchant into Hellfire, discarding the Soul Barrage and then blowing up the Merchant so that you get 2 Soul Barrages back into your hand to be discarded by Chamber or discarded by Soulfire is basically the whole purpose of the deck. The whole purpose of the deck is to basically get that situation set up and then go and do the thing. Let's talk about just general phases when we're playing this deck, and then I'll talk about the deck construction. So phases is first setup and chip damage. That's where we're getting our 1-drops down, and we're not really trading. We're kind of going face. Once we've got our 1-drops down, we're trying to find Sketch Artist. So first phase is just sort of setup and chip damage, playing our chamber out, getting Sketch Artist out, getting Frenzy Felwings down. If we can't get the Frenzy Felwings down, oh well. Guess that makes them good for discards later or easy to dump so that we can make our discards a little bit cleaner later. Then you're trying to set up a Merchant Barrage turn. So once you've got barrages, great. Can you find expired merchants? Great. Do you have to play them? Can they sit on the board? Is it a deck that commonly runs silence? Is it a deck that commonly is going to steal your merchant and then trade it off? That's something to consider, but then we're basically trying to do the merchant thing. And then after we've done the merchant thing, we're going for the burst turn. I will say on the burst turn, there's a specific order you probably want to try and meet. First, you want to merchant your Soul Barrage. That gets your first free Soul Barrage discarded. Then you want to Hellfire the merchant. That will pop the merchant, and that'll get you another 3 additional damage. So that's now 9 damage to face. At this point, if you've already got a location played and you have a Soulfire in hand and you have to pick between doing the 2, you pick the Soulfire because you want the largest number of barrages in your hand before you Soulfire. The chamber you can pick and discover which soul barrage you end up wanting to discard. So the correct answer here would be, okay, let's go with Soulfire first. So then we Soulfire, then we trigger location. Then if we absolutely have to, we can hard cast the Soul Barrage from there. There are some sequences where we can also now, if we have the mana and we're going to be floating it, weave in the Tachyon Barrages. Tachyon Barrage post Hellfire or Tachyon Barrage first into Hellfire can clear some rather large boards, or we can just get like an extra 2-mana Fireball face. I've been impressed with this card in sort of that scenario where now my burst turns have even more burst. If you think about it, if Chamber's already been played on turn 3, and it's, let's say, turn 6 at this point, you've already triggered it once, it's on its second charge, we can do Merchant. That would deal 6, let's just say, to the face. Let's say we're in a scenario where my opponent's a little bit passive. They've been clearing my board or whatever. That's 6 to face. Hellfire makes it 3 to face. I've now used 5 mana. I can then weave in the Tachyon Barrage, which would, or sorry, if it's turn 6, then we'd have to go straight to Soulfire. But let's say, like, my Merchant's already been discarded, and now my Merchant's on the board. We can Hellfire to pop it, weave in the Tachyon Barrage, play the Soulfire, trigger the location. Like, you get numbers that get up into the 20s pretty quickly, and people aren't typically able to handle the burst at that point. And if they're not handling the burst, then that damage is spraying onto their board, and they don't have a whole lot of board left anyway. Something to keep in mind is against Reno decks, you really want to greed your merchants. You want to try and get as many copies of Soul Barrage as possible, sometimes loading up multiple chambers before you go into the barrage turn, because once you like deal your chip damage, get them low, once they Reno, you want to make sure you have enough gas in the tank that you can then burst them down from 40. There are definitely going to be times when you have to make a choice. Am I racing the Reno or am I greeting the Reno? Am I racing the Reno? Am I trying to, kill them on turn 5, kill them on turn 6 before they have some sort of form of healing? Or am I going to hold back? That's completely up to you. You're going to have to sort of feel that out as far as a facey deck goes. I will say that this deck has lots of gas, especially now that we have the Tachyon Barrages. So you can kind of, play the Tachyon Barrages and then do your silly, free discard stuff, sort of save that for later. As far as how this deck is built, I would say that it's sort of first and foremost still built with the really strong discard package. The Malchezaar's Imp, the Soulfire, the Expired Merchant, the Chamber, and the Soul Barrage. I'll include the Sketch Artist in that too. These cards are all kind of just paired together and vibing off each other. This is really the really strong part of the list that we've borrowed a bit from Disco, which the Sketch Artist being sort of always kind of in and out as a 29th, 30th card in Disco anyway. After that, we're looking at sort of chip damage and tempo. That's your 1-drops. That's your silly little 1-drops, which again, you want a nice aggressive turn 1, which is why we're still playing Leper Gnome in 2025, or we're playing Sizzling Cinder, unironically. I guess Cursed Catacombs can kind of go with that as well. Then we've got like the last, Twilight Time Hopper, I guess what I would put in there as well. And then you've got some other sort of flex spots. I think Frenzied Felwing is sort of on the flex end. I don't hate trying out Trog Gem Tosser in this. I've been less than impressed with how often I've been able to get the Frenzied Felwings down. When I get them down, they're great. Otherwise, maybe doing Gem Tosser might be better. So, you end up on 5, maybe having a Tachyon Barrage Gem Tosser turn, getting a little bit of extra reach. That could be good. I don't know. It's day 3 of the expansion. I haven't tried that yet. I might like that better. I did find that Gem Tossers are one of the more awkward cards to get down, as opposed to the other flex card that we run, which is Ashen Elemental. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and be like, Schmoopy, this seems like too techy for the list. Like, why are these in here main deck? Ashen Elemental is just really good against a lot of cards, a lot of decks in the meta that want to draw cards. And I think the more knowledge you have about the meta and meta decks and how decks want to play, the more you can leverage the Ashen Elementals. For example, if I'm playing against a questline Demon Hunter and I watch them put up their Sigil a time, I have no problem dropping my Ashen Elemental and watching my opponent take 8 damage for free on their next turn. That can be huge, and that's just doing your best to make use of what you've got, and it's an efficient damage turn. Same with Miracle Rogue. If you know when the Miracle Rogue is going to go in, Dropping Ashen Elemental against the Miracle Rogue can be rather funny. Dropping Ashen Elemental against Barnes Druid can be pretty funny. Dropping Ashen Elemental against even something like Seedlock when you know that they want to start drawing their turns. Yes, it advances their quest, but also if they don't have Healthstone, that damage might stick and you might be a little bit closer to lethal. So that's something to consider as well. So I really like the Ashens. This is initially what I replaced Knife Vendor with from Caster's original list. You know, Knife Vendor just being a 4-mana deal 4 seemed a little suspect to me. I kind of get now why the Knife Vendors were in there. They paired very nicely with the Trog Gem Tosser on turn 7, but like if you're planning for turn 7, yeesh. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and win a couple games with the deck. Having talked about how it works a bit. And let's see if I look like a fool and I'm unable to win a deck or if I get some quick wins. I've been doing pretty well today off stream with this particular build. I might try the Gem Tossers and include that code. Regardless of whether or not we win a game, you can see me playing a fair amount of this deck on my channel with my free-to-play EU run to rank 43. That was fun. Alright, for once this guy is not on Mechathune Warrior, which is good news to me. So like here with this mulligan, I probably want to keep the Kobold Ribarian because it's a nice thing to do on turn 1. But I'm not keeping the Expired Merchant because I don't have any way to get Soulfire yet. And I'm not going to keep Tachyon Barrage because I don't have the Frenzy Felwings. So just let me find Sketch Artist. Let me find maybe my Twilight Time Hopper. That would be pretty nice. Okay. Not there yet. Okay, let's draw. Double Sizzler next turn seems pretty good to me. Just get on out there, get the chip damage in, be very tempo forwards. Might even Ashen. I don't know what opponent's playing. Looks like Boars. Okay. Alright, Boars is okay. I don't know what turns they want to draw, but they probably don't want to take extra damage, and tapping is kind of not a good... Whoa, you're going to be taking some damage. Uh-huh. Again? No. Okay. Yes again. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the Ashen was not the worst there. I'm going to do it again. Easy. Don't let them dig for their combo. That's a good example why I like the Ashen Elementals. You just sort of tempo them out, and they just sort of win the game sometimes just because you're getting so much chip damage in on the opponent. Paid actor, by the way. Let's see if we can win a few more. What was really fun there was I was going to have a fun turn if my opponent didn't leave, where I was going to get to play the Sketch Artist. Let's say I got a 1-drop. I think ideally it would have worked out if I had gotten a 1-drop. I could have got done Sketch Artist, Leper Gnome, Soulfire, and I would have had 3 copies of Barrage in hand, with one of them being discarded naturally anyway. And then you hope you high roll one of the other Soul Barrages, and you're talking about like a cool 16 damage plus whatever else I'm doing on board. It's a lot of freaking damage, man. The burst in this deck is insane. The reach in this deck is insane, especially against decks that don't play a lot of minions on board. And if you are playing some sort of deck that's fighting for minions on board, you know, the Soul Barrage is blowing up their stuff isn't the worst thing in the world. If, let's say, again, we're in a situation where we're playing against a Reno, and we have to be a Reno deck, and we have to be like a little bit more patient, a little bit more methodical, that's not the worst thing in the world either. You just got to make sure that you are, again, protecting your merchants, and you're duplicating as many Soul Barrages as possible and letting your other minions get that chip damage in. right, now give me a deck. Come on, give me a match. Give me a match. Fascinating stuff. I do want to try the Gem Tosser. The Gem Tosser might be good. Gem Tossers are kind of nice when they line up. They don't always line up. When they do line up, again, sort of that spray pew-pew effect all along the board. It's good anti-aggro, and it's not bad that it goes face as well. Gem Tossers, when you got a huge amount of mana, can be very, 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 very silly. Like a Gem Tosser can sometimes be a Pyroblast, if you can make that work. You can't always make it work. But I've been hoping the Tachyons make it easier to get Felwings down. If Felwings don't prove to be a little bit easier to get down, I'm definitely making that switch or trying that idea out. That's it. That's it, chat. I won one game. Blizzard said, no more. You've had enough. Wild Q. Well, anyway, I'm not streaming tonight because I found myself with a later work function. So I didn't get to start stream on time. I didn't want to do a full stream. I want to do something a little bit less formal than like this, where we go through gameplay and hopefully find a couple games. It might literally be a couple if we're going to get stuck in Wild Q. It's been fun seeing people try multiple versions of the deck, though. I will say that I've seen it pop up on ladder a couple different places. Sometimes just the caster list. The caster list is okay. I think differences between the pure caster list and my list at this point is caster was running Starfish and Knife Vendors and one copy of the 3/2 elemental that tutors a fire spell. Again, I didn't hate that too much because at least it was always getting Soulfire. Chad, I think our queue is longer than my last match. But I've since replaced the Knife Vendors with Ashen Elementals, and now I've replaced the Starfish and the 3/2 Elemental with Tachyon Barrages, and I did two other cards. Oh, the Gem Tossers with the 2 mana 4/4s. Bruh. I wonder if I was just disconnected. Did I win too quick? Oh, we got a game. Heck yeah. I tried to get out. I hope we have a game. Come on. Come on. Let's do a quick reboot. Most succinct guide. I'm not even doing the slide, so I can't even edit this out. Your boy does it all in one take, chat. Like a champion. But I will add bookmarks. How about that? We'll do chapters. That's how I can get around that. No, give me my game back. I had a game. Probably didn't have a game. All right, let's try this again. Surely you give me a game this time. Real fast. Come on. Here we go. Surely not a rematch. Okay, of these things... Of these things, I think I want the Leper Gnome. I don't think I want the Soul Barrage. I think I want the Soul Barrage off the Sketch Artist. Better. What's cool is if the leper gnome sticks, now there's no reason why the leper gnome would stick. But let's say the leper gnome sticks. I can get the Felwing down. Maybe he plays his quest first. Alright, this is a class where playing the expired merchant right away is a little bit risky because they have silence in their deck, right? So that's a little bit silly. I'm not saying you don't do it, but it's a little bit silly. I'm gonna go for it. If they waste a turn, silencing this, that's fine with me. I've got the other sketch artist to go get the Soul Barrage. Sure. We knew it's coming, right? Oh, okay. That's very different. I am totally okay with that. Alright, let's go get the other Soul Barrage. So now I've got 18 damage in hand. It's not going to take too much more for me to go find enough damage to cause this guy a lot of problems. I will take extra damage here. Sure. Unfortunate that no longer has text, but you know what? The nice thing is it is a discard outlet. I might hardcast a Soul Barrage in this scenario. Depends on how much of my stuff ends up sticking by. The thing about this deck in particular is, I was going to say, it has a lot of AoE that deals 2. Alright, let's see what else we can do. Let's try one more. Did not hate hard casting possibly one of those soul barrages just because they probably traded down into the Kobold, and if the Soul Barrage was split 50-50, I still on average get most of my damage in on their face. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it must have been a network error. There's no way the other one should have been like that. Okay. So this is probably a full toss.
Gul'dan versus Thrall. For Doomhammer.
Full toss, nothing that I want. Okay, we've got a 2. We've got a 3. Could be worse. Curving out is not is what we want to do. I would like a 1. Okay. Nice. Always going to be the 2 here. Probably going to be the 3 here, but let's see what we get. Probably go there and then start tapping starting turn 4. Nope. Sketch artist is better.
Nothing can prevent your end.
Okay. 2 mana 4/4. Let's see them deal with that. It's going to deal infinite damage, chat. I can feel it in my bones. It's nice having the Hellfire, too. Once we find the Merchant, we should be good to go.
There'll come a shattered reality. Carnival.
Bonk. Tap Tachyon is not a bad idea. I don't hate the Ashen. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do Ashen. If they want a coin curator, they're going to have to eat 6 damage. Is my thinking. Sure. Gonna tap. Gonna Tachyon. Get the Felwing down. We've not used any of our Soul Barrages yet, and it is a Reno deck, probably, I'm assuming. So this is one of the scenarios where we might want to consider being a little greedy. But that's just kind of brutal. This minion's a nightmare. See if I can kill it. Alright, next turn we're going to do this play. Because we need to start drawing cards. I don't think I can burst them down from here right now, but I definitely don't want to leave Expired Merchant on the board against a Reno Shaman that probably runs Devolve. That seems like a bad time. Overload cards that they drew, probably like Baking Soda Volcano, things like that. Sure. There's a Soulfire.
You are not the boss of me. No, don't. It's still good.
Okay. If I was a little bit closer to lethal, the Soulfire there was like, you know, your 66% gamble to deal an additional 10 damage. This actually kind of helps. Low key, high key. What do I want? It's a little bit too convenient. Okay. We're gonna have to just gamble. Maybe taking the other Soulfire makes sense there, possibly. Just to get the damage in. Yeah. Sometimes you're just gonna explode, chat. Sometimes you're just gonna explode. We had to try and get under the Reno there and hope that they didn't have it. Unfortunately, they did. Alright, let's try one more. I like giving... I don't mind, like, showing off some of the losses, because sometimes that's a... sometimes that's just giving you reasonable expectations for how the deck is going to play. So, like, we had 2 games where opponents were doing sort of silly things, and we got under them and we beat them up very quickly. Against something like Reno Shaman that sees aggro, like, assumes your aggro, assumes your disco, and then, you know, holds removal, what are you really going to do? Holds removal, and they had the Reno. I've got the Tachyon Barrage, and I've got double Felwing, chat. I'm going to go for it. This is the scenario. If I'm ever going to keep this hand, this is the scenario.
I live once more.
Oh, mirror. Look at me go. This is really tough to come back from. I'm going to drop a Twilight Time Hopper next, too. We might be looking at a scenario where I actually do end up trading with one of the Felwings to protect the 4-drop. The 4-drop represents something that Hellfire cannot clear. So let's say they have Hellfire in one of these cards and they can clean up my board somewhat. They can't clean that up. Top decked it. It's fine. Okay. I'm going to choose to tap and sizzle. Opponent's falling too far behind, I think, at this point to reasonably make a comeback. Second Hellfire would probably be the Desperation. Okay, that's like functionally a Hellfire. That's fine. Okay. I'm going to go with Malcolm. I'm going to go with Sketch Artist.
Cursed carnival.
The Sketch Artist should get nuked. I like ripping Ash and Elemental next turn, and that lets me double chamber, and I'm always getting one of the Soul Barrages and possibly getting, you know, naturally drawing the other one. Okay, we're gem tossing. Don't need to tap. Don't need to draw anything. I might be dead, but I've made it harder for them to dead me. Ooh, I would not do this, friend. No, no. How's it going? Am I dead? Am I dead to discarded Soul Barrage? No. Okay. Alright, we always get the Soul Barrage here. And we always win. Nice. The mirror. All right. So that's some example gameplay on how to play Face Warlock and my general approaches to it. Again, you're kind of like setting up chip damage, and then you're looking to leverage the merchant turns into a big burst turn. If you want to see those, I've got a couple of those on my shorts and a couple of those on my channel in general if you're going to look at one of my climbs to Legend on EU. And special thanks to my members on YouTube, specifically by name, Wrong Mindset, May, ST50, Robert Tusk, Timmy the Kaido, and Wide Peepo Happy. I hope this helps. Is this deck better than Disco? I mean, sometimes it feels that way. It definitely feels different. KVLT asked me, well, Schmoopy, what matchups are better with Facelock than Disco? I really don't know if I can answer. I would just say, like, I guess Disco relies a little bit more on its board, and I rely a little bit more on my from-hand damage. So if you in chat can figure out what those matchups are, please let me know. Hope this was helpful. Have a good day.